one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the August meeting of the Philipstown Town Board. Review of the minutes. Monthly Town Board meeting of July 11th, 2019.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
I vote aye. Weekly Town Board meeting of June 26, 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Executive session of June 26, 2019.
So moved.
Second. Anyone?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Committee reports, conservation. Actually, let's start with Jillian from the Butterfield Library, since she's been so nice to come here and join us on this August evening.
Well, thank you. Thank you for letting me go first. I really appreciate that. I just want to remind everybody at home that the library not only offers programs and experiences in the library, but we do offer museum passes. A lot of them, they're always changing. If you have an idea for one, now's a great time to tell me, because a lot of them I didn't renew if they weren't checked out a lot. So touch base with things that you would like us to do, but there's still a lot to choose from. So there's a nice family-free day of fun and learning. And then also, we also have two different park passes, one to the Empire Parks, and then we also have one for Montauk Preserve. So there's a great afternoon also. We also offer hiking and camping equipment. Our tent has been very popular this season, so I'll probably be adding another one. We're up to 3 power washers in our tool lending because it's so popular. So it's great because these are people that may not want a book, but that's another way that they can use the library. So I just wanted to remind people of that, but mostly I wanted to come to give you an update on our G. Marzolo Children's Room, as I probably last time I was here telling you it was going to happen like this summer. It didn't. You're in construction, you probably understand, but we put it out to bid. We got bids back. They were all completely over our original budget that we had given out and that we are going to stick to, because we can't, quite honestly, afford anything more than that. So we had to, relook at some of the things that we were doing. We worked that budget and we put it back out to bid, and quite honestly, nobody bid it the second time out, which we understand because it was a different time of the year. It was in summer. They were all busy. People that had bid before, it was great. We understood why they didn't rebid it. But in the end, we met with Mike Monteleone, and he's going to start construction this fall. So we're going to get this done for the budget that we had originally planned. And in that project, we're going to get downstairs in the lower level of the library 2 glass rooms. One will be a teen space. Well, it'll be everybody's space, but mainly our idea is a space for teens to do projects, work on our 3D printers, things like that. Another room will be mostly for the little children for story hour, but that will have a wall that opens up, so we'll be able to expand into the other part of the room, which will be a quiet room for teens to study. And then we're going to roll right into our next project, which is a conference room and our handicap ramp. So we have a lot going on, but it takes time to get all these done and get all these grants in place, as I'm sure you know, and the public doesn't necessarily know, so I wanted to take the time to come here and explain that. And so if anybody has any questions about any of that, contact me at the library, and or if you want to get involved, that'd be awesome too. So that's it. Do you have any questions for me?
That's not really considered a teen center though, right?
It won't be a teen center. It's going to be a glassed teen, so I can see it. I can see it. I didn't want enclosed walls. But it's primarily going to be a space for them to be a little bit louder, because I'm trying to balance the noise and the activities that we have in the library. And a lot of people do complain upstairs. We have great acoustics, but that doesn't really work that well when the noise is going right up those stairs. So we're going to try to keep that immediate area quieter and try to put the activities into the other rooms. And we're going to share that space. If there's nothing happening in the story hour, teens can go in there if they need to meet and use that. We'll accommodate whomever. But.
And the conference room is going to be open to the public?
Yes, that's the goal. We have a lot of people that want meeting space, and we do our best to accommodate them, and it will be small. It'll be 15 to maybe 18 people, but they'll be able to have access out that side door, which will also be very nice for them, not having to come through the main part of the library to gain access. So, it's still down the road, but it takes that long in planning, as you know. So.
Perfect.
All right.
Well, sounds very exciting. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got a good man in Mike Monteleone. He helped us out
Yeah.
tremendously next door. so
Yeah, he's a great guy. All right, so thank you. Good evening.
Thank you. Conservation Board.
Okay, the July report was given in the last meeting. However, regarding an update regarding Lake Surprise, this was an issue where they actually had cut a roadway into the acreage there, the forest acreage, about 3/4 of a mile. The New York State Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation issued a violation of conservation easement. Just quickly, there's 2 sets of land up there. Each are 200 acres. One is called a core easement. That you were allowed things such as passive recreation, educational, religious, and nature studies, but pretty much very little activity going into it, or also fallen or dead trees and so forth that be taken down. This was a case of them going in, and actually in the previous months I've reported this also, and going in and performing forestry efforts or activities which are not permitted. They did not have a forestry plan and so forth. In addition to that, what's called the west encarpment is much more of a restrictive area and only allows for dead trees and dangerous trees to be taken down. Our wetlands inspector, natural resource officer, Max Garfinkel, also issued a violation because of violations occurred in town chapters 93 and chapter 159. Recommendations for Lake Surprise representatives were to also appear at our next meeting, which would be August 13th. So we'll follow up on that then.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for keeping us abreast of that. Recreation.
I attended the Recreation Commission meeting this past Tuesday, and we welcomed a new member, Ben Shea. The meeting was preceded by a workshop with Tim Donovan to discuss the potential sites for a community garden. Members of the commission agreed to meet with Tim again to work on integrating the Recreation Department's vision and the community garden proposal. Summer camp is in full swing and going extremely well, with approximately 160 children being served this summer. The commission was also pleased that the productions of Matilda by the Depot Theater for Youth and the team production of Matilda have done well. And after Depot Doc's performances this summer, the theater will be shut down for cleaning and reopen in the fall. Friends of Philipstown Recreation is planning the October 19th Castle to River Run. Runners and volunteers are welcome. It's October 19th. And actually, my daughter and I volunteered last year. It was a lot of fun meeting runners from all over the country. So that's a great race if you're interested. Speaking of volunteers, the completion of the Philipstown Pavilion in Philipstown Park was discussed. There was discussion of a potential barn raising day to complete the sheetrock so the plumbing and electrical work can be done. And finally, there was discussion of rental of Philipstown Park, which requires residency and insurance. So for people that are interested in renting the park, they should speak to Amber Stickle at the Recreation Department.
Great. Thanks, Judy. While we're with Judy, we'll go to the Philipstown Coalition that cares.
The Philipstown Coalition that cares, as noted at the July meeting, is not meeting over the summer, but will resume quarterly meetings in the fall. And there has also been progress on establishing a not-for-profit 501(c) behavioral health hub for Philipstown, which will eventually integrate the coalition's activity into its work.
Terrific. Thank you, Judy.
You're welcome.
Planning Board.
I attended the planning board meeting July 18th. The first thing on the agenda was 1122 Route 9D Realty. This is the golf station down on Route 9D on the corner of Nelson Lane. I reported on this a few months ago. The applicant is seeking to put a new canopy above his pumps. He's the only gas station in Philipstown currently without a canopy, and he's basically saying it's hurting his business because of its raining and so forth like that. People will not stop at his gas station and to get gas. He's also looking for an accessory application as well to sell used cars. He's saying he's going to sell between 5 maximum cars out there at one time would be 5 used cars for sale. He's right now, the originally designed the canopy was kind of a flat roof. He's working with the people in the area, the hamlet, the establishment down the association, and he's working with them to come up with a better design than the one he originally had. He wants to be compliant. He wants the input from the community members down there as well. He's also thinking about putting a stone facade on over the stucco the building that's there today. So he's trying to improve things as well, not just putting the canopy up as well. The next steps will be, he did submit an environmental impact statement last week, and there'll be a public hearing scheduled for August 15th, which is the next planning board meeting. Other business, Joan Turner, a resident of Garrison, wrote a letter to the planning board with concerns regarding the gas station, and the canopy, and so on the cars. So I just wanted to get that on record, since she's probably not going to be available for the public hearing. She wrote a letter. Other things that happened that day, the Steve Gabbett, our town attorney, he just went through the next steps that are going to be taking place with the Hudson Highland Reserve. As I reported last month, there was a public hearing the month before, and there was a lot of concerns from the public. So the next steps would be the reserve needs to come back and answer all the questions and concerns that they have that the public had. Right now, there's no time frame for when that's going to happen. I'm not sure if they're going to show up next month, board or not. I talked to Tara this morning, and the deadline for that to have that work in was like 4 o'clock today. So I'm not sure if they made the deadline or not. So I'll find out next month. Meeting was adjourned at 8:30. Next board was August 15th.
All right, thanks, Bob. Zoning, I don't think zoning met. No, they don't, zoning doesn't meet in the summer, yeah. Do we have a highway report? I could handle that. Sure, why not? John's not getting paid tonight. Work performed by the Philipstown Highway Department for the month of July. The highway crews have been busy with pipe replacements and grading prior to blacktopping, as well as potholing and mowing all around town. Please be aware that paving will begin in the next few weeks on the following roads: East Mountain Road North from the dam to number 431, East Mountain Road South, number 260 to Route 9. I'm going to ask him to do a little piece up there also on that dirt stretch and connect the two spots. It just doesn't make any sense.
Right, yeah.
Mountain Drive in Continental Village, the remainder of Aqueduct Road in Continental Village. Flyers will be distributed to all residents this week, and delays can be expected. Not nearly as much as on Route 90 right now, though. Holy Moses.
Bad in the morning.
I can't believe the shape of that road. For July, the Highway Department received approximately 30 phone calls, faxes regarding road complaints and issues. Roughly $2,240 was spent on vehicle maintenance and repairs for the month of July. Above report submitted by Carl Frisenda, Highway Superintendent.
Can I add one thing to highway?
Sure.
I have a highway issue. Is in regards to Winston Lane. Winston Lane is a main artery road that goes into Continental Village. I've received a number of complaints this month, and quite honestly, I've witnessed some problems too. The road has become very dangerous. If you've not traveled it down, it is a highly active road and an extremely curvy road. I was asked by residents to take a look at it. I have a call into Carl. Maybe he's away right now, but when he gets back to me, I'm going to, or at least I'd like to, ask him to take a look at the road and do a kind of a safety check of the road. It does appear to me as though we really do need signs at a lot of those blind spots on that road. Some of the people coming around, some people have said they don't feel that some of the people there that are coming through there may be regular people, and maybe they don't realize how bad it is. But they're coming on the opposite side constantly. I would strongly recommend anybody in that area not to walk those roads. They are extremely dangerous. I don't think it's a good place to walk at all. And I've seen some close calls in regards to that. Maybe even I thought about even for people to recommend that they put their headlights on going up that road, that you might be seen a little bit quicker. But there's some very bad spots there. I don't know if I can really come up with a road in the town as bad as that. Certainly not a main artery road. And so I'm just advising the board that I have a call into Carl, and I think we really need to take a little better check on that road. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay.
Building and land acquisition, we met with Munistat, which is a firm that facilitates bonding for the town. This would have to do with town hall and the bonding that we're going to need to do to finance the work on this building. So we had a good meeting with them, got a lot of useful information, and we're going to wait until next week, August 9th, until we have the bid opening, and at that point we'll have a better idea on where we're at. We have an idea. We're within range, hopefully. After hearing Jillian, I'm not too sure, but within range of what we need to borrow, but we'll have a really firm idea once the bids come in and we have the bid opening next week. So we look forward to that. But we met a guy named Noah Nadelson from Munistat Services, and they're very helpful. And this is all they do is municipal bonding. So they'll get out there, they'll advertise for the bond, they'll, promote it and then get the best rate for you, so.
We get bonding too for the highway department at the same time, or that's separate?
That's a
altogether,
separate,
thing?
whole separate thing, yeah. And we're still waiting for information on the building, but we did have a couple good meetings up there with the company now that we feel like we gotta at least have a framework to work within there. But look for big changes here this fall in this building. We're gonna be moving out, so everyone should realize that as of September 1st, we probably won't be in this building. We'll be down at the old VFW hall, and the courts will be at the American Legion. The building department will be obviously right where it is right now, but we're not trying to hide.
Okay, just while we're talking about that, I just want to let you know, I do have the internet and phone services already connected down there, so we have dial tone and land access, network access there already. That's just the base of it, of course. We got to
Right.
still run cabling to where our users are going to be, of course, but we do have it's working there as well. So both locations are up.
That's great. Thank you, Bob. Putnam County Legislator. Hello, Nancy.
Hi.
How are ya?
Nancy Montgomery, Putnam County Legislator. How are you?
We're good.
Good. It's good to see you.
Nice to meet you.
Happy summer. Just here I am, and I'll give a little report, but more importantly, I'm here to answer any questions you might have, clarify anything you might be reading in the paper. Lots of activity over at the county. As you may have read, that the Visitors Bureau folded up shop, sort of unexpectedly. I don't really know the long history of
Went
it.
out for lunch and didn't come back.
Went to a Putnam County tourism site and had so much fun they just didn't come back. But they are interviewing for candidates for a director, but they've announced that prior to us really approving the department or the position. So cart before the horse again in Putnam County. Kind of strange how we're doing it. Also, the interview committee, I'm a little concerned about, because as I believe Hudson Valley here, Philipstown is the hub of tourism in Putnam County. We don't have a representative on that interview panel. It's made up of the Commissioner of Finance, a member of the Highway Department, the manager of Tilly Foster Farm, which is interesting, and the chairwoman of the Personnel Committee. Which,
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Is the highway department over there a big tourism draw?
No.
No? That's surprising.
So you may have also read that Chapter 55 of the Code of Putnam County, entitled Ethics, Code of and Financial Disclosure, has been signed into law by the county executive after two lengthy public hearings that many people from Philipstown attended. It was well attended by folks from the east side of the county. Unfortunately, there were no legislators in attendance till the very end, and the county executive wasn't there. So, we had these public hearings. It would have been great to see the people that authored the law, the representatives there. So it has been signed into law. I received some information by the legislative council, because there were a lot of questions. Okay, what happens now? And just so everybody understands, having been signed, this is what I received from the legislative attorney. Having been signed by the county executive, and though having an immediate effect date, the local law does not become effective until filed with the Office of the Secretary of State, which the clerk will do. So the Department of State will then send the clerk confirmation of the filing, and the clerk then sends the law to the newspapers and the county attorney, and then it's also posted on the website. So unfortunately, apologies for the county, that the law was not even posted the day prior to the public hearing. So, there's a lot that I'm going to try to do to make this information more accessible to the public, to make this information and the whole process of governing accessible to the public, because these past few issues I see hasn't been so user-friendly for the public. Not much else. The WIC program, as you know, I don't think the last time we had done it, but we did vote to defund that program. I did not vote in favor of defunding it, because obviously we're not going to see that program close to Philipstown. I think I'll get in touch with the folks that are running the program over at Open Door to see how we can get the folks that are receiving those services over there. So
Do we know if people from this side of the county are using those services today?
they are.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Definitely.
Do we have a number? Just
Sure.
curious.
I mean, I'm not even going to say it because it's irrelevant. If it's one, we're I think it's really important that
Oh, understood. I was just
that
curious how many.
yeah.
That's all.
I'm disappointed that that was an issue, that there were so few people in Philipstown receiving, apparently, according to them, receiving the service. To me, if it was one person, we still needed to provide that service. More importantly to me, the issue with defunding that program was we were receiving a state grant for that, and we were getting out of the grant a year before it was up, and we were cheating someone out of their retirement. Apparently, we're going to be finding jobs for those people, but that had not been confirmed as of the time of the vote. So we had someone, full-time employee with the program, running it.
What was the rush?
I don't know cost savings, but as far as I could see from looking at the budget, we were not running at a deficit as reported because we did not fill a full-time position for a nutritionist as of November of 2018. So if we had filled that position, we would have been running at a deficit. The state wasn't mandating that we had to fill it by this year. So from what I could understand from the budget that I was looking at, we were not running at a deficit yet as reported. But if we had filled that nutritionist position, we would have been.
Well, how could we
You know, there's-
possibly be running at a deficit with record sales tax, of which we get nothing in return? You know, we get none of that money back.
Sales tax revenues jumped
Oh, yeah,
up quite a
where
bit.
it's been a record
over-
year for the past 4 years.
Yeah.
They've set a record every single year.
So even if it is running at a deficit, I represent the people of Philipstown, a little part of Putnam Valley. I was elected to put forth these policies and programs that I see are necessary. Even if we are running at a deficit, it's an important program to run, I believe. So I'm here to report on what's happening, what I've tried to do as far as transparency, as far as keeping essential programs intact, and but I appreciate your input. I appreciate the public's input. If people want to respond to this new law, I think it's really important that they do so quickly, because there's a window of opportunity to go up against it.
Yeah, file an Article 78.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been speaking with our attorney about it.
Yeah. The process was not so transparent for me.
Is it true, as I think I read this, where consultants are capable of placing documents as confidential without any oversight by someone actually in a state position? Did I read that correctly?
Someone in a state.
In other words, it seemed to say, the article seemed to say that consultants, and I get from that, consultants are people that are not employees.
Yeah.
Are able to classify documents as confidential, and it would take a unanimous vote from the legislature to override that. I'm wondering if what I read was accurate.
That sounds correct to me.
Sounds totally
my
ridiculous
my
to me.
point with the law is that there was not a lot of clarity in it. I pointed out certain things during the public hearing that made it unclear.
It was poorly written, and the explanation of it was juvenile.
Yeah.
It was as if it had been written by a 4th or 5th grader. When I read the letter, sort of hitting the highlights was absurd. I mean, the word "like" and "really," just from a grammatical standpoint, not barring the content, but the grammar in it was atrocious. I was looking at it and said, "What they take this down to the middle school and have a bunch of kids write this?" It was ridiculous. The whole law is absurd.
It was signed into law with a memo attached to it from the county executive recommending revisions and amendments, although it was signed into law.
Let's sign it into law before it's ready. What's the rush? What's trying to be hidden here? I mean, there's just so many questions I don't understand. the whole idea of local government, county government, is to move towards transparency, and this ship of fools over there is moving in the opposite direction. It's confounding.
It is, and I think I like that you point out local government. We're a small county. This
Right,
is local
exactly.
government. It's for the people.
Yeah, instead of making the acquisition of material or information more difficult, we should be facilitating people, not stonewalling them, and not stonewalling you as a legislative member from getting information. It's ridiculous. What are they trying to hide?
Speaking of that, you're on the Economic Development Committee, right?
Yes.
Were you asked to vet the person they appointed as president of the Economic Development Corporation?
No.
Okay.
No. So again, I appreciate your input regarding this law because it is of great concern to me because I think it really is not good government. It does make it difficult for me to represent and give information to my constituents, to you as the town, to business owners and whatnot.
Right.
So, everything that was spelled out that they're concerned about that needs to be protected is already protected in the state law. So, and if I can answer any other questions, feel free to contact me. If you guys, if you have any other issues for me now, obviously we kind of talk every week anyway, so we're working on or every day. So it's nice to be able to do that and get stuff done.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for your support over there.
Thank you.
Cemetery Committee.
Okay, the July report was given in the last monthly meeting. The only update I have is I've gone out and made phone calls for ground penetration radar services, and I'm trying to get estimates back on that. As I mentioned in previous meetings, our first area we would look at is that knoll area that's an open area at Mountain Avenue. I want to confirm whether or not there are actually graves buried there or not. As I said in an earlier meeting, there was a particular gravestone from one 18-year-old boy still sitting in the county courthouse. It's believed it's possibly related to Philipstown. That may be because the boy was from Ireland and a lot of people from Ireland came here and worked in the foundry. So, but if nothing else, I think from a respectful standpoint, I would, if no one else in the county wants to take it, I would like us to take it and place it ceremonially in in one of our cemeteries. I think it's a proper thing to do because our research has the family going to Connecticut and then probably back to Ireland, and the boy may have been shipped back to Ireland, and there's just no way to actually go any further with that, and I just think it's respectful if we do that. So that's one of the steps we would take if we could do that with the ground penetration radar system. And our next meeting is August 13th.
Good idea, Mike. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm going to consult with Teresa here for a moment. This is your purview. I don't want to. I'm not stepping on Teresa's toes. She goes off the handle too. Not like Cecile, but I'll probably get a cuff later on. If you see me with a black eye, oh, I walked into a door. Again, I'm so clumsy. Happens all the time.
Supervisor Flynn, zoning board did meet, they're meeting a week early this Monday.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forgot.
Okay.
Well, if Councilman Van Tassel was here. All right, here comes one of the more pleasant duties and probably the best part of this evening. I would say absolutely the best part of this evening. So if
Grab
you
the mic,
please stand up.
you can come out.
I can
take it out.
I can take it out. Permission? See, I'm a little gun shy here.
I don't blame you.
No. Anybody getting hurt this evening? As I said, this will be the highlight of our evening. We're so proud of our local residents here and all the work that they do for us. We do have a proclamation here, and I would like to read it. So, with your permission, thank you. Whereas throughout its long and distinguished history, Girl Scouts of America, the preeminent organization for girls, has inspired millions of girls with the highest ideals of character, conduct, and patriotism. And whereas Jamie Calimano was awarded the Gold Award following completing 2 journeys and to choose a project that would benefit the community and be sustainable. And whereas Jamie chose to build a run-in shed where pastured horses can find shelter from the weather for the Top Field Equestrian Center in Cold Spring, and whereas through Girl Scouting, every girl everywhere goes strong and gains self-esteem skills needed to take active roles in the community. Now therefore be it resolved that we, the undersigned members of the Philipstown Town Board and town officers of the Town of Philipstown, do hereby inscribe upon the minutes of the town records our sincere congratulations to Jamie Calimano upon her achieving the Gold Award for Girl Scouting. Congratulations. We would like you to say a few words about the project, if you don't mind. I don't want to put you on the spot.
No.
It's nice to hear about it, your experience.
So I've been volunteering for 5 years at Top Field, and they're a nonprofit organization where they need donations basically to run the place. So I was up there talking to the bar manager about a project they need, and they need run-in sheds for 4 fields they have up there for the horses. So me and my dad went up there. We looked at the spot, and I decided that's what I wanted my project to do. So basically we built a shed for the horses to go in, to get out of the sun, the shade, and the wind if it starts raining. And I had to go to companies to get donations, and I had my friends and volunteers to help me build it. And it took 6 weeks to build it.
Wow. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Congratulations
Thank you.
So much. That's great. And congratulations to your parents. You've done a fine job, obviously. Thank you. Yes. All right, back to the agenda. You ready, Teresa?
Second item.
Yes. Pulling the mic
Second
up.
item on the agenda is a resolution reappointing Irene McGrath as a member of the Board of Assessment Review, whose term will expire September 30th, 2024.
Right, we're so pleased to be able to do this. Irene McGrath, a long time, lifetime member of the community, and really brings a lot to that position. So we're glad for her volunteer service here. So with that, could I get a motion on the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
The next resolution is reappointing Brian Kenney as the assessor for the Town of Philipstown, whose term will begin October 1st, 2019, and end September 30th, 2025, and this is a roll call vote.
I have to say that working with Brian Kenney is a pleasure. He's a consummate professional. He's a full-time assessor down in Orange County. He's also a very much full-time assessor here. I see him every time I come in the building, so I don't know how he does it. But he really knows the world of assessment, and he has a lot of great ideas. I know he's frustrated at certain things that happen in the town, but Brian, we really couldn't function without him. I mean, and I just don't know what's going to happen when Brian eventually retires. Hopefully it doesn't happen during my tenure in a very self-serving way.
Hopefully be here for another 6 years almost.
Yeah, and currently they are working on a revaluation, and they're well into it. So we're hoping that within this year we'll be finished with that. They've been going through records. We have more staff in there. They've done a lot of work towards getting reval done. So we're hoping to get to 100% valuation this year, not this coming year.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So with that, could I get a motion on the resolution? Roll call. Councilman Leonard.
Aye.
Councilman Flaherty.
Aye.
Councilwoman Farrell.
Aye.
And I vote aye. Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is a resolution authorizing the Justice Court to apply for a JCAP grant in the 2019-2020 grant cycle up to $30,000. And this is also a roll call vote.
So this comes at a very opportune time. We're fortunate to have ambitious people working in the court and apply for these grants because we're going to be redoing this room. So any resources we can get to add to the kitty will definitely offset monies that we could otherwise have to spend. So, if you look around this place, it needs it. So they have written grants in the past. They've got these new chairs, so we'll be obviously saving these chairs, but much more comfortable than what we used to have. So our appreciation to the women and who work in the Justice Court. But with that, could I get a motion on the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call. Councilwoman Farrell.
Aye.
Councilman Flaherty.
Aye.
Councilman Leonard.
Aye.
And I vote aye. Motion carries.
The next item on the agenda is a resolution authorizing Supervisor Shea to sign the agreement between Xerox and the town for a new copier for the building department, and this is Nunc Pro Tunc.
It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, tell me about it. Been hearing rumblings for 3 years over there, so finally.
Well,
yeah.
we have a new building department, and also it's important to keep up with the technology because the plans, getting color for color copies with building plans is really important. It makes things stand out. When they're black and white, you can miss things, so it is important to have. We're not looking at a huge expense. We're looking at $111 per month for a full color copier that they've been requesting for 3 years. And sooner or later, your wishes come true. This is a fairly simple one.
Just so you know, that got installed this morning, so it's up and running, and they're coming back tomorrow to do a little training on it, but it's in place. I'm in the process of canceling the maintenance contract on the existing copier that we have there too, so that'll be a little bit of a savings as well.
I have to say, Councilman Flaherty has spearheaded all these sort of technology issues in town, make sure we're getting the best possible pricing, making sure that we're keeping our systems updated, and in this transition during the time we're going to be out of this building, he's the person who spearheaded that whole effort to get the systems in the other buildings that we need. So my thanks to you, Bob.
You're welcome.
Could I get a motion on the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Congratulations, Building Department and Greg Warner. I know you're all excited, just like Christmas in August.
Sure is.
The next resolution on the agenda is a resolution adopting a negative declaration under SEQRA Part 2 and Part 3 for the Town Hall Alteration and Renovation Project.
All right, this is a necessary step in order for us to entertain doing the renovation on this building. We have come to the opinion that it is a negative declaration with our attorney, and in looking at the process, it falls under the negative declaration category. So we're really keeping our fingers crossed for the bids next week and hoping to move ahead in September, starting September 1st in the work on this building. We do have a nice set of plans. We've already purchased the windows. The windows are going to be identical to these historic windows that are in this building, except they will be clad on the outside, so they will last for the next 50 to 100 years, we hope. Whereas these are already over 100 years old. They've seen their lifetime. So with that, could I get a motion on this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye.
Roll call vote or no?
No, just a regular neg deck, no roll call.
Shows down here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, the code enforcement report for the town for July. Fees collected, $11,533. Total number of permits issued, 26. Additions, alterations, and repairs of residential buildings, 3. Additions, alterations, and repairs of commercial buildings, 2. Other permits, pools, sheds, deck, plumbing, etc., 23. Number of certificates of occupancies, 24. Number of stop work orders issued, 4. And inspection of public assembly, 5. The report for the Village of Cold Spring, fees collected, $275. Total number of permits issued, 3. Additions, alterations, and repairs for residential buildings, 2. Additions, alterations, and repairs for commercial buildings, 1. And number of certificate of occupancies, 4.
Surprisingly slow month for July. But after a record-setting month in June. I mean, collected over $100,000 in permit fees in June. And that really helps things. And we did get a resume for the assistant building department, and somebody who's super, super qualified, and has a wealth of fire experience,
yeah.
which is what we're really looking for help with.
Is Greg gonna bring him and talk to him, or did
He
he?
is going to,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I talked to him the other day about it, so he was trying to get that scheduled, I guess. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Anything from, why, hello. Mayor of Cold Spring and Stephanie Hawkins, his wife. Well, nice to have you aboard.
We're extremely efficient here.
We are extremely efficient. Anything from the board?
There's an issue that's been brought to my attention, and I think Kathleen Foley is here to speak to it, that there is, in Cold Spring in the village, CBCs being sold, candy infused with CBC.
CBD?
CBD, sorry. And there's some of the parents are very concerned about this, and I think, Kathleen, did you want to speak to it, or do you want me? Yes.
Oh, please, step
Yes.
up.
Hi, everybody. Nice to be back in Town Hall, soon to be the rehabbed and beautiful Town Hall. So I brought some photographs.
Thank you.
So, CBD oil, I don't know a lot about it, so I'm not going to
Nobody does.
act like an expert. My concern is that it is being sold increasingly around the town and in the village in the form of candy. If you look at the photographs I took in a shop on Main Street yesterday, I had a call from my kids were out on Main Street alone. And that's one of the things I love about living here is that my kids can go off and learn independence and be on their own. And thankfully, one of them felt the need to call and say, "Mom, what am I looking at?" And you'll see that what they were looking at, once out of the labeled packaging, is indistinguishable from normal gummy worms and other gummy candies. So I'm here to ask what we can do on the local level, both village and town, to address the sale of CBD as candy-based products. I know that was one of the catches with the state legislation was concerns about them being packaged as candy. I can tell you that on that particular shelf, and I will pause and say that this particular store owner had a really lovely conversation with me. He was open to the conversation. I asked him, would he consider putting it behind the counter, locking it the way it is in other communities? He assured me he is. IDing purchasers to make sure they're 18 and older. My concern is, again, once it's out of the labeled packaging, it is indistinguishable from regular candy. So the labeling goes so far. I want to know what we can do on a local level to somehow regulate the sale of these products as candy. You know, people use CBD as I understand it. I am not a user myself, but I understand that some folks have found it to be a remedy for things ranging from rheumatoid arthritis to anxiety. I don't know the veracity of any of those claims, and it's not my place to make statements about that. I don't care if an adult over 18 accesses it in whatever way they want. On that shelf, there were probably 7 or 8 other product lines, including teas and tinctures and other sort of edibles. So fine, if you're an adult and you're 18, have at it. God bless if you need it. I would like us to not be selling it in ways that so closely remember candies that our kids can't distinguish. There are a couple of reasons for that. One is that the FDA does not regulate the products, the ingredients that go into these CBD products. So I don't know what they are. I don't know what the quality is. I don't know what the heavy metal content is. This store owner felt confident in this manufacturer, but I don't think that consistency applies across all manufacturers. It's being sold in the gas stations. It's being sold, it's everywhere. So that lack of regulatory control at upper levels concerns me. But also, we wouldn't package Tylenol or Benadryl or any of the other things that we give our children as medicine to look like candy. Yes, we do vitamins, which I think is foolish. But I don't think that we should be packaging and selling this kind of medicinal product to look like candy as well. So I'm asking you to speak with your attorney, to speak with perhaps, I don't know, what's left of the county health department, with our sheriff, to ask how we can address this on a local level.
Yeah, it should be a concern. It's not the sort of thing you want, this crossover. Candy's candy and gummy worms with CBD are not for kids. Like you say, you have no idea what is in there, and if you're an adult, you want to take it, go ahead, do whatever you want. But
They're not cheap either, $30
They're
for a
not
little
cheap,
pack.
$30 for 4, I think, yeah. So there aren't going to be many kids buying them, but the point is, once they're out of that packaging, you don't know what you're eating.
Yeah. Yeah, we've had several concerns. I mean, these things, if you're turning it into a gummy worm, who are you marketing it to? I don't know. You know, it's the thing with the flavored vapes and all that. Who are you marketing it to? You know, where's the federal government on this stuff? Nowhere, because the tobacco industry and anything that makes money anymore seems to be just go have at it, you know?
Right. And I want to be clear because I am, honestly, I fret about coming forward on this topic. I want to be clear. I don't care what adults over 18 do. I'm not wanting to restrict anybody's access to anything. I'm concerned about appealing packaging for children.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a real concern. I hear you. Well, the mayor's here. I'm sure we can get together and get our finest legal minds on this.
Good.
So we'll look into it tomorrow. Yeah. Anything else from the board?
I have a phone call tomorrow with a couple members of the Cablevision, because who try to address this problem that we've had up at Glassbury Court. I've been asking to try to get a workshop set
It's
up.
not only Glassbury, though. I mean, the quality of internet in this town is horrendous. It's just really bad lately.
So tomorrow is my first step, at least in talking to somebody else besides the sales guy.
Yeah.
So that's tomorrow at 12 o'clock. I'm going to request a workshop again. Hopefully we get a workshop out of this guy to come up here. We'll have the public
Yeah,
here. and
explain
he'll come
what's
and
going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, give them a good public flogging.
Yeah. So it's in the process. I've been trying for weeks to get this moving forward, but finally today I got in touch with somebody else, and I'm having a call with them tomorrow.
All right, good. Because I know we're getting a lot of complaints specifically from Glassbury,
Yeah.
but anywhere in town, the internet just drops off at any given moment. It's really poor service. And, you know, they're essentially a monopoly, so what are you going to do?
Just one other thing. Tomorrow's a blood drive. Appreciate anyone that could possibly give blood tomorrow. We're in an emergency situation here with blood right now. So tomorrow from 2 to 8, I believe it is, at the North Islands Firehouse. So tomorrow is August 2nd, 2 to 8 o'clock. Tomorrow afternoon to the evening. I'll be there.
All right. Thanks, Bob. Mike, anything?
Just regarding to the cable, this meeting being broadcast, certainly at least in the southern end of town, you can't hear it.
You haven't
And
been able to
it
hear it
ca-
for years.
You
And we've
can't,
been trying
it's
to get
terrible audio. You complain and it goes up for a short time and it goes down again. I don't understand because every other channel it's fine. Now, how can that be? You know?
To let me know.
Yeah, no, but it just, you know, how many times are we going back and forth and it's the only channel? It doesn't seem to make a lot of sense, but, you know.
Many people would rather not hear us, Mike.
Oh, that's shocking. That's shocking to me.
Yeah. But if you're up at night, maybe you hear the soothing voices of the town board
That's it.
and
Push it
drift
right out.
off. Judy, anything else?
I did have an inquiry about cooling centers, and did text with Putnam County Legislator Nancy Montgomery, and also with Amber Stickle and the town board, because the state site and the county site lists the recreation department as a cooling center. And Amber informs me that's because of the designation that it's a shelter, but that the county really should be at organizing the cooling centers for everyone in Putnam County if there is another heat wave.
You're not going to get cool at the rec center because we don't have air conditioning.
Right.
So that's hard. If you ever felt like you were in an emergency situation, you could call town hall, and if it were during the day, you could easily come into town hall. I mean, it's not a cooling center, but I just don't want to have people feel like, oh my God, I'm desperate, I need to go somewhere, and not be able to go.
That's pretty cool.
The
Yeah,
county's
senior-
exactly with this beautiful new senior center.
If you want, that was unfortunate that the information that was sent out by the health department where they had listed cooling centers, and I addressed it right away, and
It became confidential.
it became confidential, so I'm not going to say anymore. No, Kathy Percocello, we're fortunate to have her working on it and developing protocol for how that's supposed to happen, because I had called and said, you know, are you going to notify me if the EOC is open? Cooling centers are up on the website. They don't exist. We don't have the VFW anymore. We don't have the American Legion anymore. rec center doesn't even have air conditioning. So unfortunately, those were the sites that were listed as cooling centers. But always,
information.
call the number provided on that website before you go to a cooling center to make sure that it exists. So I think in the future, the county will be developing a new list and having information sent out about where cooling centers would be.
That'll be buried
It
somewhere deep in our-
it needs an overhaul. All of that information, emergency preparedness needs an overhaul.
Obviously.
Thank
Yeah, when you're sending out 3 recommendations and none of them exist. Nice work. Please, Roberto.
I just wanted to say to Judy, we got a grant from New York State for a climate smart study on heat waves, essentially, and building our capacity as a town to handle extreme heat waves, and developing a plan to establish cooling centers that actually have air conditioning. So
Great.
that's something that we're planning to do before the end of summer 2021. But it sounds like the 3 of us should connect on that. So maybe just explore it a little
County should
bit.
be involved in, well, we can connect, right. with
Yeah,
the
or just
county, too.
since it's come up,
Right.
it was something that we weren't planning on tackling for a little bit because there's so many projects going on right now.
Sure, no, that's
But,
wonderful. Thank you,
yeah.
Roberto.
So we do have some money for that.
And for people who
Great.
don't recognize Roberto now with his new look, I mean, I just want to point out that this is Roberto Muller, our climate smart coordinator, who is truly a local hero. Somebody that is just doing so much work for the community. I think you want to give a plug for the online survey again. I think it would be a good time.
Well, I did want to ask, did we have a request for the workshop on the agenda, or did that not make it for some reason?
No, but he wanted to talk about this and then maybe talk quickly about complete streets.
Well, yeah, on July 18th, I'd sent Tina a request, because I think to schedule a workshop, you first have to make the request at the board meeting.
Right.
Right, so for September 18th, should I just go ahead, or should I wait?
That's
until-
fine.
Okay,
No, go ahead.
sorry. Yeah, September 18th, what we'd like to do, sorry, let me just pull this up, is have a workshop on 3 different subjects. So the first one is called a complete streets policy. And what Mike was talking about down in Continental Village is a perfect example. It can range from increasing pedestrian access to public services, such as the Continental Village Clubhouse, for example. Improving signage to reduce the risk of motor vehicle accidents. Possibly working with the state or county to widen lanes on roads if there's an opportunity to do so to improve safety for cyclists. There's also a Philipstown Trails Committee that came out of the Philipstown Community Congress, which is a big group of volunteers that are working on the possibility of establishing a walking, biking series of trails or single trail within Philipstown to provide non-motorized transportation options, ideally for those who don't have access to motor vehicles, but also for tourists and so forth. So the idea of a complete streets policy is for the town to put forth basically a list of goals that it would like to at least explore each time an opportunity comes up to improve a road, if there's a development project, so on and so forth. So it's really kind of a framework that gets established for then anytime there's a highway project, okay, let's review this checklist related to complete streets, and we'll see if we can make any improvements that would affect the use for all users and not primarily motor vehicles, which tends to be the case right now. So that's one. And the context is we had a presentation, I think a week and a half ago.
July 25th.
Thank you. At the Desmond Fish Library. And a member of the planning department from Dutchess County, Emily Dozer, came and presented on her experience doing a complete streets policy for the county level with Dutchess. Had lots of examples of the work they've done and provided us a lot of resources that we can rely on to develop a policy for Philipstown and also support the 2 villages in doing so as well. So we're looking to offer workshops for the town, for Village of Cold Spring, Village of Nelsonville, to have a little more specially catered presentation on that information. So the other subjects that we wanted to address during the workshop is also developing a refrigerant management program within Philipstown. And the reason is refrigerants that are used primarily in air conditioning systems, but also in heat pumps for heating applications, unfortunately are insanely powerful greenhouse gases, and I don't use the word insanely lightly. They can be from 2 to 10,000 times worse as a molecule of carbon dioxide. So yeah, pause for effect. These refrigerants include R12, R22, R410A, which are often used in air conditioning applications, but also in geothermal or mini split or air source heat pumps. Also, R134A is used in cars. So a refrigerant management program would essentially focus on education in terms of alternatives to these refrigerants. There aren't too many on the market right now, but eventually some may come online in terms of using ammonia or compressed carbon dioxide in some applications. But the main push that we can do at this point is at the end of use of an appliance, dehumidifiers, air conditioners, refrigerators, freezers, and some of these heat pumps, they need to be disposed of properly, because if they're accidentally leaked, it's a huge risk in terms of actually exacerbating climate change. And it's a big concern because a lot of the solutions for reducing emissions involve these technologies that have the refrigerants. So for example, we want to switch over a house from using propane to a geothermal heat pump because it'll have fewer emissions. But if the refrigerants leak when the equipment gets old, it very likely undoes all of the hard work and all the money that was spent. So it's being prioritized by the DEC right now because they've realized this is a big oversight in the technology and could potentially exacerbate efforts to deal with climate change. So the idea is to prepare a program for our municipality, educate the public, and possibly work with the county on a refrigerant appliance collection day, similar to the hazardous material waste day. And then the last question that we had, this came up, possibly something to explore with the town's attorney, is what to do in situations where we had a request through our Climate Smart Task Force, to distribute information on a campaign to support the state in basically developing a program to help homeowners switch over to air source heat pumps or geothermal. And it was very much activism or lobbying. So it was an organization that was looking for volunteers to get involved, call your legislator, call your state senator, so on and so forth. And we, at our task force meeting, didn't know actually what would be appropriate, if it's something that we can distribute or what the restrictions are. So rather than taking time here, I figured maybe at a workshop it'd be easier to just discuss that and have a clear idea.
Citing a specific vendor or anything like that, is it?
No, yeah, this example, we haven't had others, but one example came up, and it was specifically making calls to state elected officials related to a campaign that is climate change oriented, but it's very much focused on supporting the passage of a bill. So it is lobbying in a sense. And we weren't sure exactly what our restrictions were, so wanted to address that as well.
Okay, we'll see you on the 18th.
And then the last thing was just to do another pitch. If folks can visit climatesmartphilipstown.org and fill out our community survey. We are about halfway done. I think we've reached around 150 participants, and we're trying to hit 300. So the sooner we get the results and all the participants completing surveys, the sooner we can finish and then prepare our climate action plan for the town.
And we have this up on the website now, right?
It is, yeah, there's a
on
link.
television.
Yeah,
Everybody's getting
exactly.
that.
Yeah, oh, right.
making
So
it
Ecological
Yeah.
Citizens Project helped us out. They sent out this mailer to all households in Philipstown.
Yeah,
as
but a
well,
really
so-
important program, so if you can get online, take 15 minutes, it'll make a big impact, so.
Are you gonna go, if you hit 300, are you gonna stop or are you gonna keep on
No,
going?
I mean, if people, we'll keep it open for a period of time, but that was our target to get a,
You might get 600 or so after this meeting tonight.
it's possible, I hope so. Fingers crossed.
They can't hear it the other end of town.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, right.
It'll be in the
Sign
dozens,
language.
in the ones.
All
All right, well,
and that
thank
is
you,
all.
Roberto.
Great,
Thanks,
thank you very
thanks
much.
very much. Anything else from the audience? Yes, Liz.
You mentioned earlier that the town is concerned about this Confidentiality Act, and you're looking into what recourses might be available. Could you just elaborate a little bit, without going into legal strategy or anything, but on what
our recourse would be to file an Article 78. So to challenge the law.
And the town could do that as a town, saying that this is harming its
Ability to access information. And challenging stupidity, as a fundamental principle.
So you're gonna be talking about that and then reaching a decision at some point.
In the next 2 weeks, because the window of opportunity is only a month.
I don't personally know how they're even in compliance with the New York State sunshine laws.
No, but if somebody doesn't challenge it, it'll just flow through, and
that's right.
you'll have, again, the ship of fools will continue to sail, and that's fine. They want to try this, and we got to do something about it.
As a resident who has tried on any number of levels to get information from the county, they already don't let people have information. I've been turned down for budget information. I've been turned down for spending information. I've been turned down for super basic stuff that isn't any kind level of protected information. And so to have anyone from consultants to any level of staff able to put a confidentiality stamp on and make it even harder is super distressing. And I worry, getting information when you submit a FOIL and your address is Philipstown, you're almost immediately shut down. And I'm really fearful about the retaliatory measures and the way this will be used in a way to, for example, make the job of our legislator impossible. But also very simple stuff that the public has a right to know about. I'm concerned about how our local governments, our village and our town, are able to access information even beyond what they're saying no to already for individuals. So if you're going to do this, thumbs up right on.
Mm-hmm. All right.
It's another subject. May I?
Keep them coming.
Sorry, I did write to you probably too late to get on this agenda, and I think the sheriff may have brought this issue up to you, but looking for a resolution to create a school zone where the Manitou School is. Has that come across your desk before? No.
Nothing.
It was an oversight. It was a conversation in passing that never got into writing. So here I am, asking you to develop a resolution, write a resolution that I can submit to the state. It's been addressed at the Putnam Traffic Safety Committee meeting. They agree. The New York State DOT representative at that meeting agrees as well that they could designate a school zone with the appropriate speed of 25 miles per hour. The school sits right at the spot where the speed limit changes. So it's a really unfortunate spot for the school to be. It goes from 30 to 40 right there. So they're decelerating as they enter Cold Spring, the village, and they're accelerating as they leave. So if we could just create a school zone there, and we need a resolution to do so.
It'd be good to get some documentation on that from the
Yeah.
safety board, something in writing. We can't
Okay.
just
Yeah.
create this
All I have is a request from the sheriff and a school board member.
All right.
So
Well,
I'll
we-
send that, and then I'll try to get something from the traffic safety board. No, the Manitou School.
That's not far from the senior center and housing where they're also talking about the speed in that area,
Yeah.
so.
Right, I'm not listening to anybody else. We're not scheduling anything right now. Vacancy 0. What a time to be in Philipstown. Woohoo. Approval of vouchers, general.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I vote aye. Highway.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? I vote aye. Continental Village Park District.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I vote aye. Continental Village Water District.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I vote aye. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
There you go.
Nicely done.